These are the solutions for the standards assessment for Chapter 1. So kind of a preview of what you'll see on the benchmark one. So let's take a look at the first problem here. It says which value of x makes the equation true. So all I'm going to do is just divide by 4, and x is 8. So A is the answer. A taxi ride costs $3 plus $2 for each mile, and so that always tells us our variable term there. And it says when you rode in the taxi, the total cost was $39. This can be modeled by the equation below, where m represents the number of miles driven. How long was your taxi ride? So we're just going to solve this by doing opposite operations. I'll subtract 3 first, and I'm left with 2m equals 36. So when I divide by 2, I end up with m equals 18 miles. So I is the answer. Taking a look at the next one, it says which of the following equations has exactly one solution? So one solution means that we're going to have something that looks like this. X equals a number, and the number could be like a 2 or 3 or any number. Now if it had many solutions, infinitely many solutions, then we'd have this situation where 0 equals 0. Or if we had no solutions, this would be infinitely many solutions. If we had no solution, then we'd have like 0 equals 1, where the numbers do not equal. So that's what I'm looking for as I'm doing these problems. As I look here, say I'd be multiplying 2/3 by x. And whenever I do that, I end up with 2/3 x, and over here I cross cancel and multiply. I end up with 4, and I have 2/3 x plus 4. So you see how the 2/3 x's are the same on both sides. They will cancel out to make 0, and so that will have infinitely many solutions. So I'm trying to look for one in which the variable terms are different on both sides. See over here, if I distribute this, the 4/5 n will cancel out the 4/5 n. Over here, the 3/7 y, well, this one's not the same. It's a little bit different. You see how if I add 3/7 y to both sides, I end up with a 6/7 y, and that will give me one solution. See, I'll have to subtract the 13, which will make 0, so y is 0, and that is one solution. So it looks like B is going to be the answer. Just want to check this one real quick. See, if I multiply 7/8 by 2, I end up cross-canceling a little bit. I get 7/4 t. See, the 2 goes into 8 4 times, and those 7/4 will cancel out. So it looks like B is the answer for number 3. Let's move on to the next problem. And it says, number 4, the perimeter of the square is equal to the perimeter of the triangle. Now notice this is a square, and it's saying that the perimeters are equivalent. What is the side length of the square? Since we're dealing with a square, all sides are the same. So really all I have to do on this problem is take 3x plus 3 and set it equal to 4x. And then just subtract the 3x from all sides. That gives me 3 equals x. And so now I know what x is. And so I can do that because I know this side equals this side here. And so now I'm just going to take that 3 and substitute it and find out what that length is. So 4 times 3 gives me 12, and so I know each side is 12. And so it's saying what is the side lengths of the square, and that would be 12 units, unless they give me some other dimensions there, and they don't, so I'll just say 12 units for number 4. And the next one says the formula below relates distance, rate, and time. Solve for t. So if I want to get t by itself, I'm going to divide by r. That leaves me with d over r equals t. So that's the formula I'm looking for, so I look for that, and it's right here, letter G. So let's move on to the next one. Number 6, it says what could be the first step to solve the equation shown below? My first step would be to multiply the 2 over the x and the 7. So I'd have 3x plus 5 equals 2x plus 14. So I'm going to look for that. And so combine 3x and 5. No, can't do that. Subtract x and 3x. No, you can't do that yet because this x needs to be multiplied. Subtract 5 from 7. I wouldn't do that yet because the 7's inside the parentheses. It's right here. Multiply x by 2 and 7 by 2. And that would be our answer, letter B. Let's move on to our next problem, and it says you work as a sales representative. You earn $400 per week plus a 5% total on sales for the week. Okay, so you earn $400 plus you're earning 5% on sales. So when we multiply by percents, we change those to decimals. Move the decimal point over 2 spaces. And we're going to multiply that by the number of sales that we end up, or number of sales that we make. And so it says last week you had a total of sales of $5,000. What is the total earnings? And show your work. Okay, so here's my formula. So this is going to stand for earnings here, and S stands for number of sales. And so, or not number of, but dollar sign of the sales. So let's change that real quick. So I've got the amount of sales in dollars. And so let's go ahead and substitute that in, 0.05 times by 5,000, and then plus the 400. So when I do this, 5 times 5 makes 25. The decimal point will move over 2 spaces, so it'll kind of knock off these 2 zeros there, so I'll add the 0 there. So you made $250 from the commission, from the 5% from the sales, plus your $400 that you earned, so that makes $650 earned. And so that was the earnings for the week. Then it says 1 week you earned only $1,350, and so let S represent the total sales that week. Write an equation to find out, write an equation that you could use to find what the sales is. So you earned $1,350, so that means $1,350 has to go here, equals 0.05 times by S, the total sales, plus the 400. So I'm going to subtract that 400 from both sides, and that leaves me with 0.5, borrow a bit, and that changes to a 9. So $950 times 0.05 S, divide by 0.05. And so we're going to end up having to move that decimal point over 2 spaces. And so let me get rid of that decimal point that I had there. And that means move this decimal 2 spaces. So I'm really going to divide into 950 and then 2 more zeros. So 5 goes into 9 1 time with 4 left over. It goes into 45 9 times. And then I have to bring up all these zeros. So it looks like my total sales for the week was $19,000. A lot of money. So that was for part B. And then, using your equation from part B, find S and show all the steps. Okay, so write an equation. That's what I did right here. That was part B, and then part C was right in here. So number 8 says, in 10 years, Maria will be 39 years old. M represents Maria's age today. Which equation can we use to find M? And so, in this case, what I would do is, looking at it, and it says in 10 years. So in 10 years, that means in the future. So you're going to end up adding 10 years. And Maria's age will be 39 years old. And that's going to equal 39 years. And then right now, she's only M years. So let's let M represent Maria's age today. So that would be it right there. So M years plus the 10 years that she's adding on. And she will be means equals 39. So the next one says, which value y makes the equation below true? So I'll go ahead and just solve by doing opposite operations, subtracting 3y from all sides. And so once I do that, I've got now 8 equals 4y plus 11. So I'm subtracting the 11 from both sides now. And so that leaves me with a negative 3 equals 4y. So when I divide by 4, see, I'm getting a fraction, and that fraction's a negative. Negative 0.75 is the value of y in this case. So there it is, letter B. And here it says the equivalent, or the equation below is used to convert Fahrenheit temperature F to its equivalent Celsius temperature C. Which formula can be used to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit? So I need to solve this by doing some opposite operations. I'm going to multiply this by 9/5. That'll cancel out the 9s and the 5s. But if I do that to one side, I have to do the same to the other. So now I've got 9/5 C equals F minus 32. So from there, I go ahead and add the 32 to both sides, and now I've got 9/5 C plus 32 equals F. And that would be my answer. So let's find that one. 9/5 C plus 32. There it is, letter I. Moving on to our next problem, and it says you have already saved $35 for a new cell phone. You need $175 in all. So we have $35 saved, and eventually we're going to need $175. So we're going to end up having to add something to that. Well, you think you can save $10 per week. So $10 every week, it's $10 times the number of weeks, plus the $35 you have equals the $175. So at this rate, how many more weeks will you need to save the money before you can buy the cell phone? So let's find out how much we need to end up saving. So we're going to subtract that 35 from 175. That gives me $140. That's how much money I need to save. And so if I divide by the $10 per week, it looks like it's going to be 14 weeks is going to be my answer for number 11. And moving on to number 12, it says, what is the greatest angle measure in the triangle below? So the greatest angle measure, let's find out what x is there. So we just take 50 plus 3x and 2x, add to make 5x, and it all equals 180. So I subtract the 50 from all sides, and so I now have 5x equals 130, dividing by 5. Well, 5 goes into 13. Just to start there, we have 2 times with 3 left over. It goes into 35 times. Looks like x is going to end up equaling 25. Let's see here, 30, 60, 26. That should be a 26. So now we would need to find out what this angle measure is. So doubling 26, so 2 times 26 gives me 54, or 52. So this angle is 52. And then if I triple 26, that gives me, it's like 78. So it looks like 78 degrees is the largest angle in this case. And number 13, it says that which value of x makes the equation true. So I'm going to distribute first, so I'm left with 6x minus 18 equals 4x minus 7. So I'll subtract the 4x from all sides, and that leaves me with a 2x minus 18 equals negative 7. So if I add 18, then I can see that I have opposite signs, so I subtract, and I have positive 11. And I still have that 2x. So I divide by 2, and then I'll get the x value by itself. So 2 goes into 11 5.5 times. So in this case, number 13, I is the answer. Let's move on to the last set of problems, and it gives us this one here where we've got the drawing shows below which the drawing below shows the equal weights on 2 sides of the balance scale. So you notice what's in here. We've got, looks like 3 cups and 1 trophy. Here we have maybe like 2 trophies. And so it says, what can you conclude from the drawing? A mug weighs 1/3 as much as a trophy. Or it says a mug weighs 1/2 as much as a trophy. Okay, so let's try to write an equation for this. So we've got 3 mugs plus 1 trophy equals, and then 2 trophies. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve a little bit. So I'm going to subtract the t from all sides, and so it looks like 3 mugs equals 1 trophy. Oh, that's exactly what I read on the first one. A mug weighs, well, not quite. A mug weighs 1/3 as much of a trophy. So if I go ahead and solve for m, if I divide by 3, that would make sense. M equals 1/3 the times a trophy. So 1/3 as much as a trophy. A mug weighs 1/2. Nope, not that one. Not a half. A mug weighs twice as much. Nope. A mug weighs 3 times as much. No, it's 1/3. So those are the problems that you'll see on the chapter 2 or chapter 1 section of the final exam. Good luck.